It is 12:44 a.m. on the 26th of September 1983. Deep inside a Soviet nuclear bunker south of Moscow, a single light turns red. The computer screen reads, "Launch detected." One man is standing between that screen and the Soviet High Command. He has 4 minutes to decide whether the United States has just fired a nuclear missile at his country. He is not supposed to make that decision alone. He does anyway. The year is 1983. The Cold War is not a metaphor. It is a living system of mutual destruction. Two superpowers holding each other at gunpoint, each with enough warheads to end human civilization several times over. The doctrine is called Mutual Assured Destruction. The acronym is MAD. Nobody chose that by accident. NATO has just begun deploying Pershing II ballistic missiles in West Germany. These missiles can reach Moscow in 6 minutes. The Soviets have never faced a first-strike threat this fast, this close. Their military leadership begins operating on the assumption that war is not a possibility. It is a matter of timing. In response, the Soviet Union launches Operation RYAN, a global intelligence program designed to detect signs of an imminent American nuclear attack. Every embassy, every agent, every listening post is now feeding data into a single conclusion: is today the day? The tension is unlike anything seen since 1962. And inside this pressure, someone decides to build a machine that can answer the question automatically. That machine is called Oko, and it is about to make a mistake. The Oko satellite system is the Soviet Union's early warning network. Launched throughout the 1970s, it consists of 9 satellites in highly elliptical orbits, positioned to detect the infrared signatures of American ICBM launches. The logic is clean. Satellites never sleep, never get scared, never hesitate. If a missile launches from US soil, Oko sees it first. The ground station that interprets Oko's data is called Serpukhov-15. It sits 100 kilometers south of Moscow, buried and hardened against nuclear blast. Inside, officers monitor the system around the clock in rotating shifts. The data flows in. They watch. They report. On the night of September 25th, 1983, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov is assigned to duty officer. He is 44 years old, an engineer by training, not a career military man. He was involved in designing the Oko system itself, which means he understands exactly how it works. He also understands exactly how it can fail. His commanders consider him analytical, precise, not a man who panics. That assessment is about to be tested in a way nobody anticipated. The shift begins normally. Petrov runs routine checks. His team of analysts sits at their stations. The night is quiet. Then, at 12:14 a.m. Moscow time, the computer system does something it has never done before during a live shift. It activates its highest alert. The signal reads, "One missile inbound from the United States." Petrov does not immediately reach for the phone. His training tells him to verify. He looks at the raw data. He looks at the radar operators, because Oko is designed to work alongside ground radar, which should confirm any real launch. Ground radar shows nothing. He has a problem. The computer is certain. The radar is silent. Then, before he can resolve that contradiction, the screen updates. 2 missiles, then 3, then 4, then 5. The alert level jumps to maximum. The word on the screen, in Russian, means launch. And that is the first mistake, but it belongs to the machine, not the man. It is now 12:44 a.m. Petrov has been staring at the screen for 30 seconds. Protocol is explicit. A confirmed launch signal must be reported up the chain of command immediately. That report will reach the Soviet General Staff within minutes. The General Staff will brief the leadership. Leadership will authorize a retaliatory strike. The entire sequence from Petrov's phone call to Soviet missiles leaving their silos is designed to take less than 10 minutes. He does not make the call. He picks up the phone to his superiors, but instead of reporting a confirmed launch, he reports a malfunction. He tells them the system is showing a missile alert that he believes is a false alarm. He has no proof. He has a feeling and an argument. The argument goes like this: a genuine American first strike would not involve 5 missiles. If the United States was going to start a nuclear war, they would fire hundreds of warheads simultaneously to destroy Soviet retaliation capability before it could be used. 5 missiles makes no strategic sense. It is not enough to cripple anything. It is barely enough to be noticed. 5 missiles looks like a test or a glitch. His second argument, the Oko satellites are angled toward the sun at this point in their orbit. Under certain atmospheric conditions, sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds can produce infrared signatures that mimic a missile launch. He cannot prove this, not right now, not in 4 minutes.
What is it?
His commanding officer at Serpukhov-15, Colonel Yuri Votintsev, is on the line. He is not happy. The system is showing launch. Petrov is saying, wait, this is not how the chain of command works. Petrov holds. He tells his staff to continue monitoring. He keeps the ground radar operators on the line. Minutes pass, then more minutes. No impact, no secondary alerts from other systems, no confirmation from any other intelligence source. At 12:50 a.m., Petrov formally logs his assessment. False alarm. He is right. What the Oko system detected was not a missile. It was sunlight. Specifically, a rare alignment in which sunlight reflected off the tops of high-altitude clouds and hit the satellite sensors at an angle that exactly mimicked the thermal bloom of an ICBM launch. The system had been designed to filter this out. On this night, the filter failed. Later analysis will confirm that the Oko system had a known design flaw in how it processed certain sun reflectance angles. Engineers knew about it. The flaw had not been corrected. Nobody had thought it would matter. For 23 minutes, Stanislav Petrov stood at the edge of a decision that would have ended the modern world. He stood there without certainty, without confirmation, without anyone telling him he was right. And he did not move. Here is what the Soviet government did with Stanislav Petrov after the incident. Nothing. He was not decorated. He was not publicly recognized. He was quietly reprimanded, not for calling a false alarm, but for failing to fill out his logbook correctly during the incident. Under the stress of the event, he had recorded information in the wrong format. That was the official military response to the night a nuclear war almost started. He was transferred to a less demanding post and retired from the Soviet military the following year. He took a job as an engineer. He lived in a small apartment in the town of Fryazevo, outside Moscow, on a pension that barely covered his basic needs. The incident itself was classified. For over a decade, it did not exist. The Soviet military had no interest in publicizing the fact that their most advanced nuclear early warning system had nearly triggered a retaliatory strike based on sunlight. The world did not learn Petrov's name until 1998, when a retired Soviet general published his memoirs. Even then, the story spread slowly. Most people who lived through 1983 have never heard of him. Here is the detail that changes the entire shape of the story. The 26th of September 1983 was not a random night. It was 3 weeks after the Soviet military had shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007, killing 269 civilians, an act that had sent US-Soviet relations to their lowest point in decades. President Reagan had publicly called the Soviet Union an evil empire. American and Soviet forces were on heightened alert across every theater. The Soviet leadership, already convinced that the Americans were preparing for a first strike, had instructed their officers to treat any anomalous data as potentially real. Petrov knew that. He knew the political climate. He knew what his superiors expected him to do. He did the opposite. Every nuclear close call in history follows the same basic pattern. A system is built. The system is trusted. A human being is placed inside the system and told to follow its instructions. And then one night, the system fails, and the only thing standing between its failure and a catastrophe is a single person who decides, in real time, that the machine is wrong. Petrov survived long enough to be quietly honored by the United Nations in 2006. He died in May 2017 in his apartment in Fryazevo. His death was not widely reported. The town held no ceremony. 2. The Oko satellite system remained in operation until 1997. Its successor systems are still active today. There are people sitting at screens right now, in hardened bunkers on multiple continents, watching for signals. Their systems are more sophisticated than Oko. Their processing speeds are faster. Their error rates are lower, but not zero. The only thing that stopped a nuclear war on the 26th of September 1983 was one man's willingness to trust his own judgment over a machine that was absolutely certain it was right. We have never built a system that removes that dependency. We have only built faster ones.